Hello, my name is Dr. Bryan Schuetz, and I'd like to thank you for watching this brief health presentation. Now, a little bit about me before we get started. When I was 19 years old, I had a problem, well, a really big problem. I had a weightlifting accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. Now, I was prescribed surgery, but I decided to try chiropractic. Chiropractic actually restored me to health, and I felt this was a miracle in my life. One of two miracles that I'm going to share with you during this presentation. So I became a chiropractor over the next 7.5 years and devoted my life to sharing my experience with all who would listen. Now, there are two goals that I have for this program: to provide you information about, number one, what true health is and what it's not, and number two, what chiropractic is and what it is not, so that you can make an informed decision on how to incorporate what I've learned about health into your own wellness lifestyle. Now, over the past 20 years, I can tell you there are generally 4 reasons that people come to see a chiropractor. Number one is they have an ache or pain. Neck pain, low back pain, knee pain, foot pain. These problems are handled very well with natural chiropractic care. Now, the second reason people come to see a chiropractor is for a major condition. This could be anything from sciatica, a disc injury, even heart disease or cancer. And these people are seeking a natural alternative for their major condition and are very happy with chiropractic care. Now, the third reason people come in the office is for prevention. Now, obviously, if you've had an ache or pain or major condition that got well with chiropractic care, you'd want to use regular chiropractic care to prevent those problems from returning. Now, the fourth and most abundant patient we have in our office here at Capital City Chiropractic is the wellness patient. Now, the wellness patient is what we call a bright light bulb. You can see them coming down the street. They exude health. They do things at another level. They get plenty of sleep, exercise, and eat right in addition to their chiropractic care. And these people are a real model of what health can be. They're the people you want to hang around, and everybody wants to hang around. And they have a way of making the world a better place. And I think that's what we'd all want. Now, let's get into what true health really is. Now, true health, according to the World Health Organization, is optimal physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Now, this is very important because it's saying that just because you feel good or don't have a current sickness doesn't mean you're healthy. Think about the person that's jogging down the street and just drops dead of a heart attack. Were they healthy to begin with? They might have looked healthy. They might have felt very well, but they weren't healthy on the inside. Also about the patient with cancer. Maybe they didn't know that there was a cancer growing even though they were doing so many things right for themselves. Couldn't feel it for years until it was too late. So obviously, we can't use how we feel to determine our level of health. Now, Dorland's Medical Dictionary says that health is a condition of wholeness in which all the organs are functioning 100% all the time. I really like this definition because it takes in consideration that everything is functioning as a whole. That's where holistic medicine really comes in. Now, maybe you don't have all of your organs. Maybe you had your tonsils out or your appendix out or some other organ that had to be removed because it was diseased or dysfunctional. Well, then, according to this definition, you can't be 100% healthy. But we can control the function of what we do have and bring that function as close to 100% as possible. So, Gray's Anatomy tells us what controls function in our body. And it is the function of the brain and nerve system to control and coordinate the function of the body. So the brain and nerve system becomes very important. Now, the vertebral subluxation complex is an interference to function that causes lack of health on every level. And chiropractic is the clinical science of evaluating the vertebral subluxation complex and the clinical art of reducing, correcting, and preventing the vertebral subluxation complex. It is also a philosophy of life and health that believes there is an internal wisdom in all living things that maintains their existence, that heals sickness, and allows the development of their full potential, as long as there's no interference. Now, to see how this nervous system develops in you, we have to go way back to the beginning. At just 3.5 weeks of gestation, your brain is the first thing to form. It has to be the first thing to form because it has to control and coordinate the development of all the other systems in the body. So we go from 2 cells to now differentiating. In the picture you can see what looks like a little tadpole, where the brain and spinal cord, as you can see, are forming. Now at 6 weeks of life, arm and leg buds are forming. The organs begin to form and the heart is at this point pumping blood to nourish the body. At 18 weeks, your systems are functional and the baby actually has a personality. This is where you might know if you have a soccer player or a boxer that's growing inside of you, as they'll tend to start kicking and moving around at this point all the time. At 28 weeks, you have a happy 10 trillion cell, fully functional organism. It's truly a miracle. At this point, it's very interesting. The eyes won't open at this point because if they did, they would soften and you'd be born blind. Also, the fingernails won't grow past the edge of the fingers because you could tear the amniotic sac and cause problems with your own health as a little baby. So there's that inborn intelligence in this baby as it develops, as long as there's no interference to that. And we know there can be interference at this point when you look at medications. Some people that were on thalidomide back in the 70s and had horrible birth defects. People that have lack of folic acid in their diet causes interference in this development, and they're born with spina bifida. So as long as there's no interference, then we'll have a fully functional, happy baby, and getting ready to be delivered at this point. So what's the first thing to form? The brain and nerve system controls the function. So let's look at the brain and nerve system a little more closely. Now, the brain stem, you can see with the blue arrow, this kind of looks like a little worm almost, about the size of your little finger, your pinky finger. And this part of the brain controls your basic drives like appetite, hunger, pleasure, reproduction, tissue, and organ system function. So you don't have to think about what you're going to do with your food after you eat it. Your body, because of the brainstem, can make healthy cells out of the food you eat, as long as what you're eating is healthy food. Now the next part of the brain we'll talk about is the cerebellum. This is the back part of the brain. You can see where the arrow is pointing. This part of the brain is controlling your coordination and fine motor movement and balance. And obviously some people are more developed in this area than others. Now, the cerebral hemispheres are the part of the brain that you would look at it and know that, hey, this is a brain. These cerebral hemispheres, you can see with the blue arrow, they control consciousness, orientation, education, memory, language, and voluntary movement. So when you want to move or go somewhere, or write something down or learn something, this is the part of the brain that's activated. It's where all your memory is stored. Now, the nerve system is the communication link between your brain and every cell in your body. They say now you have over 11 trillion cells in your body, and each one of them needs to be in constant contact with the brain. They do so over the nerve system. So now we have the spine. And the spine, unlike the brain, does not have the interlocking bones that protect it. The spine actually has 24 movable bones because you have to have movement to be healthy. It also has the big job of protecting the nerve roots as they exit the spinal cord and feed the body with nerve flow. The spinal discs act as shock absorbers, and they're between the vertebrae or bones of the spine. And an interesting fact, There are 65,000 miles of nerves that emanate from the spinal cord that feed every single cell of your body with proper nerve flow, as long as there's no interference. This is truly the basis of 100% health, to have 100% function at the very basic level of the spine and brain, so they can communicate with the body as they should. Now, the vertebral subluxation complex is when the joints in the spine become misaligned through accident, injury, maybe poor posture. We see these joints become actually stuck, out of position, like you can see the picture on the right. Now, the picture on the left shows a normal neck with a healthy curvature in it that allows it to act like a nice spring. Once we lose this, this is the first stage of vertebral subluxation, as you can see on the right. Now, the nerves in this position will be injured. Most people have heard of pinched and irritated nerves. When you get a pinched nerve, it's because the bones of the spine are out of position, pinching on those nerves. Next, muscles begin to spasm. They spasm to protect the area from further damage, because the brain knows at this point that something's really wrong. Now, every 7 to 10 days of a bone being out of position and the muscles spasming, there's a layer of scar tissue that forms over the spine. And this, as we'll see later, is the basis of osteoarthritis. Now, inflammation occurs after the muscle spasms, and it starts to spread across those injured joints that are out of place. This is when you start to really be able to feel the pain of the pinched nerve. Now, over time, if this is let go, you can see in the far picture on the right that bone spurs start to form and the disc material actually starts to die. This is the most common disease in the animal kingdom, and it's called osteoarthritis. Now, the sad part is it's completely preventable, because you can see the joints that were injured are the ones that broke down. It's not due to age, because all these joints in the spine are the same age. But the joints here that have been injured over time are now worn out and the bone spurs have formed. Above, again, they're the same age as the joints below. These joints are nice and healthy, still have large discs and no bone spurs. So you can't blame age on causing arthritis. Now, the vertebral subluxation complex causes whole body degenerative and ill effects. Number one, it causes disease of the tissues of the spine. The spine obviously starts to decay at this point, and the nerves become more and more pinched. As this happens, the tissues that those nerves feed aren't getting the proper signals from the brain, so they can't function as they should, and the tissues also begin that process of breaking down. Over time, this causes disease of the organs. Obviously, if the tissues aren't working correctly and getting the proper nerve flow, the organs will begin to suffer over time. Then the entire organ systems, maybe digestive system, maybe muscular system, any system that's affected by this will start to break down. At that point, we had disease of the entire body. Now, what causes vertebral subluxation? Childbirth, according to medical research, over 80% of children that are born in this country are injured because of the birth process itself. Also causing vertebral subluxation is pollution of our air, water, and food. We have over 20,000 chemicals in our air, food, and water that our government has deemed safe for us to have in the environment, even though we know many of these cause all sorts of disease, from allergies to cancer. Our air is polluted with pesticides, factory fallout, motor exhaust. The water, it's polluted with pesticides, pharmaceuticals, chlorine, and artificial fertilizers that they use in farming nowadays. And our food is also polluted. With genetically modified crops, or GMO crops, lack of minerals in the soil. Now they use artificial fertilizers instead of having the proper minerals in the soil so that the plants look healthy, but they're devoid of the normal vitamin and mineral content that they should have. Also, there are chemical additives to the food, stabilizers, and gluten is now causing problems in lots of people who have problems digesting gluten, and dairy with hormones and pesticides in the cows that produce the dairy. Here's a picture of a young lady with over 475 chemicals on her body, from deodorant to shampoo, hairspray to lotions. These cause you to be unhealthy and can therefore cause problems with the nervous system. What else causes vertebral subluxation? Occupational stresses, whether it's physical or mental. Obviously, stress with your spouse causes tight muscles, irritation of the bones that position them out of alignment, and then the process continues into vertebral subluxation. Physical stress, learning to walk, falls, sports, injuries, auto accidents, work accidents, poor posture cause vertebral subluxation. Also, if you have an injury to your spine that causes vertebral subluxation, it will then spread. As one place in the spine becomes dysfunctional, it'll simply move to the next segment above or below because it's not working as a chain like it should. Now, vertebral subluxation results in abnormal spinal function, arthritis and degeneration to the spine, abnormal body function without appropriate nervous system control. We have tissues and joints getting sick, organs that get sick, the whole body gets sick. The body and mind become less able to cope with any stress and are more prone to disease. These are the dim light bulbs we like to talk about. They come into our office very sick. And our job is to get that problem turned around and make them bright light bulbs again. Now, Dr. Windsor, an MD, did a study that showed 98% correlation between spinal misalignment and degeneration in the spine and cause of death. What he did is he took cadavers after people had died and traced back the organ that killed that person back to the spine. 98% of the time he found that there was a direct correlation between the worst area of the spine and the organ that actually caused death in that person. So how do you know if you have vertebral subluxations? Only a licensed chiropractor can tell for sure after an examination and spinal x-rays. There's one thing you can do at home to look for the possible presence of subluxations. Again, because pain is not a good indicator. One of these subluxations could be growing for years and already turn into arthritis before it causes you pain. Now, your posture, we call it the window to your health. And what's your posture like? This shows different postures with somebody who has a sway back, someone who has too much of a lumbar curvature, someone who has a kyphosis or a humpback right here, and this gets worse as people age. The worst one we see now is the forward head posture with all the texting and all of the computer work people are doing. This is the one we see the most. And if you'll just stand and have someone take a picture of you from the side in your normal standing posture, then you can see if you fall into one of these categories. Now, if you have perfect posture, that means your ear is directly lined up with the shoulder, directly lined up with the hip, the knee, and the ankle. And posture is a good screening tool to indicate your spinal health. Now, when we correct the vertebral subluxation complex, we find the opposite of what happens as the spine degenerates. We start to turn things around. We have better muscle function, better joint function, better ligament function, healthier, more robust discs, and better posture, naturally, when we correct the spine vertebral subluxation complex. This results in better whole body function. The spine is obviously improved. The nerve system becomes improved because there's no more pressure on the nerves, or at least less pressure. The immune system is improved. People get sick less often because the brain is controlling the immune system in a more adequate way without pressure on the nervous system. So all the organ systems are improved with less stress of the vertebral subluxation complex. So we have improved healing and increased levels of wellness in all patients who are under regular chiropractic care. Now, I want to talk to you about the second miracle. We talked about the first miracle that I experienced with chiropractic being me. And that's me on the right in the green shirt. This is a professional athlete that I was working on when I was younger, obviously. And then this is my son Robert. Now, Robert was an interesting delivery when he was brought into the world. Robert's birth weight was over 10 pounds. Because of his size, he had to be pulled out very hard during delivery. He had 2 broken arms, 2 broken collarbones, and a neck injury. It was so bad, he had little chance to survive. See, they grade babies on what's called an APGAR score. It's done at 1 in 10 minutes. And 10 is the best, 1 is the worst. Robert had a 1-minute APGAR score of a 1, which isn't compatible with life. At that point, I stepped in and did the only thing that I knew how to do, which was to adjust him. When I adjusted Robert's spine, we waited another 9 minutes, and he had a 10-minute APGAR score of 8 out of 10. So at this point, we knew he would survive, and he was able to breathe on his own at that point. Now, they said he would most likely never have use of the arm on the left side of his body. He was injured so badly that they thought he would not ever have use of it. They even said his arm would probably not grow to normal size after birth. Now, if you look at that picture in the middle, you have me, our friend, and Robert, and you can see his arm on the left is a little different than the one on the right. He's very young at this point. Now, these other pictures are also of Robert as he was older, and you can see that his arm over time, with proper nerve flow, started to grow just like the other arm, very healthy, and now you can't even tell that there's anything wrong with Robert's arm, and he survived that ordeal, and now is a student at Ohio State University. So our mission with chiropractic in our office is to create healthier people, to unlock the healing potential of each one of our patients so they can be a better expression of what they were born to be. In doing this, we hope to, in our own way, create a healthier planet, to share our message with people of good health and wellness. So I'd ask you, would you like to have a natural solution to eliminate your pain without drugs or surgery? Would you like to live a longer and healthier life? Well, here are the 6 steps I recommend to give you the best chance of having a pain-free and healthy life. I call it the road to wellness. Number 1, you need to get your nervous system checked so you know foundationally if your body is healthy and functioning as it should. You need to eat organic foods whenever possible and avoid dairy and gluten or wheat containing products. We want you to drink half your weight in ounces of water every day. Now that means if you weigh 200 pounds, you're going to drink 100 ounces of water per day. Okay? We also recommend that you exercise and stretch every single day. And exercise for at least 30 minutes. I recommend moving to an hour, if possible, every single day. And people always ask me, isn't that excessive? And if you think about it, 100 years ago, most of our families were farmers. And how often did they exercise? Well, they exercised from sun up to sundown. And how many days a week? Well, at least 6, if not 7 in some cases. So it's important to take that time every day for yourself to maintain good health. I like to call it a wellness savings account. If you're going to save up money for retirement, then you have to save up health for retirement. If you don't have your health, your money will be gone very quickly. It really doesn't matter how much you have. You'll spend it away on medical bills. If you don't have health, then it really doesn't matter how much money you have if you can't get out and enjoy it. So every day we recommend making contributions to your wellness savings account. And that would be your exercise, eating the right foods, drinking plenty of water, and like number 5, getting plenty of rest, and create time for stress relief every day through prayer, meditation, deep breathing exercises. Create time each day for stress relief.